welcome to the Situationship Expert YouTube channel. I am your host, India Lynn, also known as the Situationship Expert. First on TikTok, now on YouTube. Welcome if this is your first time here, welcome back if it is not. Today we are talking on the topic of knowing yourself. And while this can apply to anyone, I just want to make it very clear that we are focused today specifically on our singles out here. So if you are single, if you are dating and you're looking for a serious relationship, this is for you. A struggle that I feel a lot of people have when it comes to dating is understanding what they want in a partner. But I think the biggest challenge that people wrestle with is knowing, how do I say this? Knowing themselves. Like truly, not knowing things about yourself like, oh, I like to hike, or I like to read, or I like to go out with my friends. Like, who are you? Like, who are you behind closed doors? What are your goals? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? Where do you see yourself down the road? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't talk about these things on their first dates. They don't talk about them within the first few months that they are in a relationship with someone or trying to work toward an exclusive relationship with them. There are people who are in serious committed relationships and they have no idea what they want to do with their life, where they're going. And it is a problem, and that's why I'm discussing this, because it's hard for you to see if someone makes sense for you if you don't know yourself truly. And so I want to get into this topic because it is serious. If you don't know where you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, I think it's time for you to start considering those things. And I say this because a gentleman on a dating show recently asked a young woman that question: where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? She couldn't answer. And I don't think it's a bad thing to not know exactly where you would land, but I do think it's an issue if you are not thinking about your future. And I'll tell you this, when someone gives you an answer to a 5 to 10 year question, that usually gives you an idea of what this person desires most at this point in their life. It doesn't mean that that can't change in the next 5 to 10 years, because I've heard it argued, well, I live in the moment, right? You live in the moment, and there's nothing wrong with living in the moment. But I think the issue comes in when someone's trying to debate whether or not you make sense in their world, in their life. For example, if you're someone who says, I'm a free spirit, if my job asked me to leave town tomorrow and move to Texas, and let's say you're from New Jersey, right? Maybe that's something that your partner would be willing to do, leave New Jersey to travel wherever your job takes you. Maybe they have that flexibility with a remote job or something that they can do almost anywhere, right? But maybe even if they had the flexibility, that's not something that they want to do. Maybe they do want to put roots down in New Jersey or wherever it is that they're from in the tri-state area, right? So when someone asks you where you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, it doesn't always mean that they're asking you to come up with an answer that leaves you boxed in for the next 5 to 10 years, as much as get an idea of who you are and where you're going. And again, the reason why I'm saying all this is because I am seeing more and more that people don't have any clue on where they are at. They can't even gauge their own temperature. And so while they're asking some serious questions to people they claim they are open to getting to know, it's hard for them to even see if this person makes sense in their life or not. I'll give you another example. When it comes to core values, not enough singles understand what their core values are. And if you don't know what a core value is, essentially a core value is something that you are not willing to compromise on, or you would be highly unlikely to compromise in this area. And I bring this up because, again, you have a lot of people who want to keep an open mind when it comes to dating. They don't want to necessarily walk away from something that could be a good thing. But unfortunately, they find themselves compromising in things that are very, very important to them, which ultimately leaves them feeling tired, feeling unseen, feeling like this person will never be on the same page with me on things that are important. And I don't want anyone to be in a place where they feel like they are compromising on something that is very, very important to them. So, if, for example, religion is important to you, or a spiritual experience is important to you in this life, and growing in that area, acknowledging God, acknowledging your creator. Like for me, for example, I am unashamed. I'm a Christian, right? Believe in God, loved God my entire life. I can't envision my future with someone who does not believe in God, who does not have that same core principle that you should be conducting your life with a sense of morality and understanding that while our time on earth is limited, that it should be used with intention, and we should acknowledge our creator and ask for wisdom and pray for it and pray for protection. And I want someone I can pray with, someone I can have a beautiful life with, help people out with in terms of our morals and give back. And I need someone who's on the same page in that area, and that's just not an area I'm willing to compromise in. And it doesn't make me a bad person for not wanting to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't believe in God. It just means that is what my core value is. The same way I wouldn't expect someone who doesn't believe in God to change who they are for me. I wouldn't want them to say, well, yeah, well, now I'm going to start, you know, reading the Bible or praying if that's something that they don't desire to do. So ultimately, when I bring up the core values, it's not to say there's something wrong with you for having standards or boundaries on how you choose to conduct your life. It's to make sure you don't compromise in things that will hurt you potentially in the future. Um, and it's not just in that area. Some people, it's finances. There's a reason why they want a person that's making six figures versus someone who is making less than that. Or the reason why they say, I know I need this form of stability in my life. Maybe it's because they've only known a impoverished lifestyle. Maybe they don't ever want to come close to being impoverished again. Maybe they don't ever want to experience not having their needs met. And they feel that money is the only way that they can do that. Maybe they work overtime to achieve that. Maybe you're someone who is just very intentional about investments and you're constantly following the stock market, trying to move your money around because you feel like that is the only way you can truly enjoy your life. Or maybe that's the only way you can feel comfortable enjoying the fruits of your labor because you feel that is the only way to establish some form of stability in your world, right? Everybody has a reason behind why they do what they do. And so it's just important to not just write down what is important to you, but write down why it's important to you. Because as much as we like to say that we know ourselves, I would argue that we definitely struggle in the area of knowing ourselves as well as we think we do. Um, it definitely helps to have someone in your life who can call out the things that you have as blind spots because I know I have my share of them, and my friends and family are not shy about telling me what my blind spots are. And it's always interesting when somebody calls me out, and I actually appreciate it because I like it when I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to say you're wrong. I got to say ouch and amen on that because you're not wrong. But at the end of the day, there are times that we give ourselves a little bit too much credit, and other times we're a little bit too hard on ourselves. So it is good to have a balanced opinion of ourselves. But that's why I say it's so important to get to know who you are before you claim you want to be in a relationship with someone else. I think there are so many beautiful men and women out here, people in general, just trying to find love, genuinely desire a healthy, happy relationship, and they have yet to find that. And sometimes you can want something, but you're not necessarily ready for it. And the reason why I say you're not necessarily ready for it is not because I don't want you to enjoy something beautiful with another individual. It's because being in a relationship, as beautiful as it is not always easy. When you have to sacrifice, not that sacrifice can be a beautiful feeling, but share your life and your world with someone else. It means the world no longer 100% revolves around you. it's not always easy for people to transition out of being the center of their own world. For example, you could love the idea of being a mother, but until you actually become one, you don't understand what it's like for your peace to be disturbed at 2:45 in the morning when all you want to do is sleep, but your child needs their diaper changed, right? Maybe you love the idea of being a six-figure individual, right? But you hate the fact that more money is coming out of your taxes. And you're like, I gotta pay more. I gotta pay more. I'm making more, but y'all are taking more, right? You like the idea, but you don't like the feeling of having more taken out of that paycheck, right? Um, Maybe you like the idea of owning a really nice sports car. Like, for example, my favorite sports car is a Corvette. And I said, if I could have any sports car, it would be a Corvette someday, right? But then I said, you don't know how to drive stick shift. You don't know how to take care of a sports car. You don't want to take care of a sports car. You like the idea of a Corvette, but you have no business owning one, right? And I had to come to that reality. I'm like, even if I had the money, even if I was a millionaire, even if I could own a Corvette, right? I don't need one because I'm not as invested in taking care of it, taking responsibility over it, protecting it, doing all that I can do to ensure that that car continues to drive properly and get from point A to point B. I don't have the bandwidth for it, and I don't have the desire to do that. That's how a lot of people see relationships. They like the idea of it. They like the idea of not being alone. They like the intimacy, but they don't like the idea of maintaining it. They don't like the idea of being mature. They don't like the idea of having to say I'm wrong to anyone. And ultimately, I see a lot of people who are not ready for relationships entering into relationships with people who genuinely want something serious. Or they start dating people and they see someone is very serious about wanting a long term committed relationship that could even lead to marriage potentially. And they lead them on to believe that they are working towards something special. And the truth is they're not moving anywhere, not with this individual. And the person, instead of being transparent and honest, saying, I'm not ready for a serious relationship, I'm not ready to sacrifice my time and invest in getting to know you, I'm not ready, they lead them on. And that's usually the beginning of a very, very toxic situationship. And so that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. It's not because I want people to feel like they need to rush into a relationship or change how they feel about something, but start asking yourself some real hard hitting questions. Do I just like the idea of not being alone, or do I like the idea of giving to someone else, being there for someone else as they are there for me, as they pour into me, right? Am I ready for all that? And if the answer is no, you're not a bad person for not being ready, but you're not doing right by this person that you're talking to or dating or even in an exclusive relationship with if you are not ready to sacrifice and be there for them. It's just not fair for either party involved. And last but not least, if you're not going to be vulnerable with yourself, who can you be vulnerable with? I'm just saying it because I hear so many people who say, I want someone to be vulnerable. I want someone to be honest with me and tell me the truth. But how can you do that if you're not honest and open with yourself? Too many people want something real, but they're not ready to be honest with themselves. They're not ready to say, I'm not ready for a relationship. They're not ready to say, when you did this, this hurt me. They're not ready to say, I was wrong. Or can we start over? How can I make this right? How can we build on this? I'm ready to do right by you. I'm ready to take things to the next level. I'm ready to be mature. I'm ready to do things I've never done before. And it scares me a little bit, but I feel like I'm ready to do this with you. Everyone's not there. And you have got to be vulnerable with yourself and honest and sincere with yourself the same way you need to be vulnerable, honest, and sincere with your partner. It's hard to open up to someone that you know has the potential to hurt you. And it's a scary thing to be at that place as well. But I feel it's so important to say it because at the end of the day, yes, love can be scary. Giving someone so much information about yourself, opening up to someone, trusting they're not going to take that information and use it against you or hold it over your head is a scary thing to do. And it's even worse when it happens because then that trust has been broken and you're like, well, do I continue to trust this individual or not? And I'm going to save that for another video. But you've got to be vulnerable with yourself. You've got to be honest. You got to be upfront and you've got to tell someone exactly how you feel when you feel it. And it does not always feel wonderful to say it. And I'm not saying you don't sometimes need time to cool off, especially if you got into an argument, altercation of sorts. Maybe you do need some time to just not speak to them, not get into how you're feeling. But you eventually do need to open up, tell them how you're feeling, explain why you said what you said, did what you did, and have some heart-to-heart conversations with them. But start with yourself if you're single. And that's why I said this is for singles. Of course, if you're dating, if you're married, if you're divorced, if you're in any state of life, you are more than welcome to listen to this. And maybe it did resonate with you. Maybe what I said, you're like, maybe I do need to be more vulnerable with my partner, right? But I'm saying this because I want more singles to think about how their decisions affect the people around them, how they affect the person that you're dating, how it affects you. So if this has resonated with you in any way, please let me know in the comment section. The comment section is not just there for you to tell me what you liked about this video, though. It's also to let me know what you want to see in the next video and more content that I create. But y'all, that is all I have for today. Thank you for joining me on the Situationship Expert YouTube channel. As always, if there is anything that you would like me to say, or if you'd like to check out my lives, let me know, not just on this platform, but let me know on TikTok. That's where it all started. That's where I still go live, at least during the recording of this video. That's where I still go live. And check my story because I usually will let you know if there's any changes to my typical schedule on TikTok. That is the Situationship Expert on TikTok. All right, so I'm there, and maybe eventually I'll go live on YouTube as well. But again, thank you for joining me on this episode of the Situationship Expert. I am your host, India Lynn, and until next time, take care.